Hello, friends. Hi, this is Marina Shepelsky. I am an immigration attorney in US, and I'm here to talk about immigration news this week. What's new, what's exciting, what's less than exciting, and to discuss your issues and answer your questions about immigration law. Keep in mind, nothing I say in this show is meant to be legal advice, of course. It's just information for your understanding, your better general idea about what works in US immigration law and what doesn't. Fixing this Instagram there, much better. Um, I'm gonna talk about myself a little bit for our new subscribers. Hi, and while I'm talking, please feel free to write in the comment where you are watching me from and say hi. Just say hi. And the first person to say hi is Taurus. So hello. I will get to your questions a little bit later in the show. I'm not gonna forget. So write them out. But for now, please let me know where you're watching me from. And I'm going to talk a little bit about myself and my own background. Laveet Singh says hi. Uh, and we will discuss what is happening in the world of US immigration. Sasi Kumar says, ma'am, my name is Sasi. Welcome. Hello. So, just a little bit about myself. I'm an immigration lawyer for 23 years. I I live in New Jersey, but our office is in New York, and we are working with all the 50 states. So we understand what's going on firsthand. You know, we are dealing every day with people's issues with immigration from very easy, what's easy for us to very complex, like requests for evidence and appeals and motions to reopen, all of that stuff. That's something we handle. So no problem if that's what you are dealing with. Give us a call. We can handle. My phone number is on the bottom of the screen. Hi, good evening, Samir. Hello, Samir. And let's get a little bit into my background and then talk about the news. I went to college, to university in New York. I graduated from NYU in 98. Then I went to Fordham Law School, 99 to 2002. And I have my license in New York and New Jersey for local court procedures like divorces, processes like that. But for immigration, I practice in my firm. Our lawyers practice in all the 50 states. So we have clients from Pakistan, Bangladesh, Russia, Ukraine, African countries like Burkina Faso, and so on. Um, Basically, we deal with every aspect of immigration law. And why I got into this is because I'm an immigrant too. I came from the Soviet Union, from Ukraine, and I felt like this is really important work that I should be doing because this is bringing me closer to my people, and immigrants are my people. So that's what I do. What I do, I've been practicing for over 22 years. Now exclusively immigration. Before I did some other stuff as well, but always immigration. Now only immigration. And I really love this work. This is why I do what I do. This is why I get up in the morning. And I'm happy to help people from across the world. Oh gosh, my phone I have to turn on. Turn on, do not disturb. All right, back to this. Let's get into the news and I will get to everybody's questions. Please write where you're watching me from as we talk here about what's going on in immigration law and what is the biggest news, what is more like minor information, and what we can do to help you. So the big news is that USCIS has announced that when you file for a work permit renewal, you're asking to renew your work authorization, your employment authorization. Some people call it EAD because it stands for Employment Authorization Document. So when you file for renewal, they will no longer automatically renew it. No more automatic renewal, except in two cases, and that's for people who are in TPS status and asylum pending. Everyone else, they will examine carefully before renewing your work permit, which means while you're waiting, it is not automatically renewed, and potentially, I don't even know what to say, like what is your status? Probably that you are kind of allowed to stay in the United States, but you're not in renewed employment status. So this is really bad for people who are filing for a green card through marriage and other things, because basically you're going to lose your status of automatic employment while you're waiting for them, which could take 9 to 10 months sometimes for renewal permit. And they said it's intended to do more careful checking of everybody. Although I don't know how the fact that they're not renewing you somehow makes you vetted better. Like I don't get it. But anyway, so that's the story, and that is the biggest news right now. Also, they announced that they're gonna now implement a new, wider, like more inclusive, meaning a harder citizen. There's gonna be more questions on it. Instead of 12 questions, I'm sorry, instead of 10 questions and you had to answer 7 correctly or 6, now you have to answer to 20 questions and get 12 out of them correctly. So that will be the new expanded naturalization citizenship test. That is going to have more questions than before, exactly twice. So they're doubling the amount of questions they ask, and they're doubling the amount out of the new number that you can get incorrectly, but also that you have to get correctly. So that's a big news for anybody filing for US citizenship. And also, just to remind you that now, when you file for US citizenship, you're not just dealing with these questions that I mentioned, but also you're going to have to prove good moral character. And you will actually have to prove it like affirmatively. You actually have the burden of proving it yourself. The fact that you've never been arrested, for example, that alone is no longer enough. They want to see that you're volunteering, you're active in the community, that you go to a religious institution, like maybe to a temple or a mosque or a synagogue or church. They want to see that you're doing good stuff and believing yes in God. And if you were a mom or dad, you're taking care of a family or elderly parents or elderly relatives, and you're receiving letters of good moral character. So it's become a little more intense to become a citizen, although it's not like so hard that you can't overcome it. It's doable, all right? So the next thing that we have to discuss is that USCIS no longer will accept paper checks or money orders when you're paying for USCIS applications. When you are submitting a USCIS packet now, you are expected to submit a form, either Form G1450, G1450, to allow them to charge your credit card for the fee, or the Form G1650 for making a direct withdrawal from your checking account. So that's the only form of payment they will now accept. This is meant to modernize, make things quicker. And keep in mind, you have to make sure that if you are paying electronically, like you're attaching a piece of paper, you're still attaching a piece of paper, but now you're attaching a piece of paper that gives access to your credit card or to your bank account. Make sure there's enough money in there that they can take something out, whatever is the amount, and there's still going to be some money left over, because if you're going to go to zero or negative balance, your bank may reject the payment, and then the whole thing will come back to you. All right. So that is the story here. Those are the two really big news. Um, Today, I also see a new announcement that USCIS has upgraded their systematic alien verification program. Basically, the program they use to check everybody for green card when you go for a green card interview, for citizenship eligibility, and they're checking to make sure that no person who didn't have citizenship yet, that no person like that had voted before, because now they're going to get access to state voting agencies to get information about who voted. And if you are just a green card holder, or even worse, if you don't have any kind of status and you voted in a federal election, you are forever not eligible for citizenship. So that's in the news. Um, um, as of October 20th, President Trump issued a proclamation called Restriction on Entry of Certain Non-Immigrant Workers, and basically said anybody filing for a brand new H-1B non-immigrant visa to participate in the lottery, the employer has to pay $100,000 as a condition to be eligible in the lottery. It's a lot of money for an employer to pay for, like, an engineer, maybe that they were going to pay 85,000. So the fee is more than the salary a lot of times. However, they're still going to do it to bring money and decrease the amount of people that are even participating in this lottery. One company so far announced they're ready to pay, which is the biggest, richest company in the market, called Nvidia. I think their valuation is now about $3 trillion. So they're rich enough that they can afford it. I don't see how smaller employers ever, like our company, be able to afford to pay something like that for a new employee for a work visa. That's only for 3 years, guys. But anyway, that's in the news from last week. And what else did I want to say from last week? Oh, there was a federal court hearing, and the federal judge in Washington, D.C. found the $100 payment for new asylum applications and renewals to be illegal and unconstitutional, because when it was announced by the EOIR and USCIS, it was too confusing. There was not enough information, and the two agencies weren't communicating. And the way it was done, they said it was arbitrary and capricious, which means it violates the US Constitution. For now, you no longer have to pay this fee, the $100 asylum fee. According to federal judge, you do not have to pay. And we'll see if that rule stays and you don't have to pay going forward. They will do something and somehow it will change again. But for now, that's the news. Write in the comments where you're watching from while you're watching, all right? Lavid says he's from India. Lavid is from India, but now I just like me you. Um, Charcoal Art 123 says hi. I want to visit from Pakistan and get a visa. Can you guide me? We can do the application if you'd like. We can give you advice about how to get a visa, but we can't, like, you know. sponsor you for a visa. That's not possible. All right, I'm going to get into your questions now. Um, as we're 15 minutes into the show, my first question is from Sadie Torres, 8132. Hi, Marina. I'm in cancellation of removal for April 2026. Master hearing. How long will it take the next hearing after that? 20 years in the state, child 12 years old, U.S. citizen, American. Are these cases hard to resolve in court? So cancellation of removal means that he or she, I'm not sure if this is a male or female person, have a child born in the U.S., they're 12 years old, that this child would experience a hardship if the parent had to be deported and the child has to follow this parent to the home country. The question is how long after April 26th will be the individual hearing, the trial? It depends on the judge you get. It depends on their schedule. If they have something available soon, it could be 3 months, a year and a half, approximately. It depends on the judge's schedule. So I don't have an exact answer for you. It could be between 3 months to a year and a half, or 2 years at most. I don't think 2 years, but a year and a half for sure. You will have to prove that the child depends on you and that the child has a hardship. So this whole case about your child having medical or mental issues or some other special needs, okay? Now, Damien says interview was scheduled for 29th of October 2025. Finally, congratulations, Damien, that you had an interview. For adjustment of status, I got a white paper saying the case is being held for review. So he got a paper after his interview. He attended his interview that his case is going to be renewed. The interview went very well. They asked easy questions. They didn't want any of my documents. They didn't take anything. When will it get a decision? It depends. It could be a few weeks or a few months. So I don't know exactly how long. Ahmed says my VAWA is pending now for 3 years. I already sent in my work permit renewal since February 2025. My old category for work permit was C09P, but I received my receipt notice. Class category was C31. That's probably what your lawyer or whoever is handling your case had put on the application. C31 is for people who are approved in VAWA. So they're hoping that when your VAWA is approved, you'll get the work permit based on the VAWA approval. And he says he didn't get anything. Why is it taking so long? Sometimes it takes like 8 months to a year to get a work permit. And there's more from Ahmed. He says, who should I connect to the Vermont and Nebraska Center by myself? Because my lawyer has withdrawn from my case. I want to send mail to them. Should I notarize the letter? Um, you can send the letter to whoever is handling your case. You should have a receipt notice, and that will say in the prima facie approvals what specific office has your case. So you send the letter there. However, usually these letters are not effective. So I wouldn't do anything, to be honest with you. Look, you can do what you want. I'm not giving you legal advice, but it's going to be super hard to get them to read your letter. They just don't. Okay, PKN says, good morning. My interview for marriage-based green card, which is scheduled within 5 months of filing. My work permit is still pending. I came here on a student visa F1. I'm concerned that it's a trap. But my immigration records are clean and no criminal record. It is not a trap. They are scheduling people pretty quickly right now. I'm telling you, it is not a trap. I don't think they're just trying, especially you don't have arrests. You said you don't have immigration problems. It's a marriage-based case. It's taking 4 to 5 months right now. So it's not a trap. Prepare for this as if it will be a real marriage green card interview. So you need to prepare the joint documents to prove you're married to your wife or husband for real, right? So they got to bring all the bank statements, the tax returns in his name, and you put them together under the same roof, right? With copies. So one set of original, one set of copies. Make sure to bring your original biographical documents, your passport, birth certificate for you and your spouse, marriage certificate, passport for your spouse, their citizen, originals. This is not a trap. This is a real interview. It's much faster now than before Trump came into office. And Ahmed says, thank you, thank you. Now, let's get into the questions from Instagram. Um, M. Pulido 08 says, my husband received a letter from USCIS for an asylum interview waiver. So they're offering to have him refuse to have an interview. Like they're offering him the right to not have to attend this interview if he doesn't want to. Now they say this person says if he signs a waiver, will he be getting an interview for asylum? Instead, he'll be going into immigration court. That's correct. But if you filed for asylum after 1 year, they'll never approve you at this interview anyway. So it's not a bad idea to save time and stress for attending and paying an interpreter to go. And usually we schedule these at like 7 in the morning. This will end up in immigration court anyway. So if you want to get results much faster and not have to have this stressful interview, if you filed after 1 year, sign that waiver. If you want to have an interview, some people really want to go speak to somebody, go for it. But I'm telling you, if you filed less than a year, you have a chance of this interview. So don't sign the waiver. If you filed the asylum application when it was already more than 1 year that you were in the States, you are okay to sign this waiver. You will still end up in immigration court with this letter that you're signing. You'll get there fast. It's up to you. Uh, and Polito says, how long are they taking to schedule the immigration court hearing here in San Francisco? It could be in 5, 6 months from now if you send the waiver now, or like a year. It's hard to say because sometimes when you sign that waiver, the asylum office takes a long time to process it. From when they deny the asylum case at USCIS asylum level and they refer it to immigration court, it could be 2, 3 months. Maria, our long-time follower. Hi, Maria. How are you? Maria Margolis says, if asylum case was approved in the USCIS office, and after that I moved to another state, do I need to update the address on asylum case before applying for a green card? No, if it was approved, that case is finished. So you just have to call. Look, generally speaking, you do have to update USCIS about your address. You could just call the 1-800 number and tell them you moved. But you don't necessarily have to put it in that case. That case is closed. Just call USCIS generally and explain, and you can update your address. But of course, you put in your new address when you file for a green card, which you can do right now. Okay, you don't have to wait to file for a green card based on asylum approval, and then you put in your new address. Putna Mary says, hi ma'am, I'm Mary from India. I've been looking for any job. We don't give jobs, sorry. Layla says, what is the best way to apply for study permit for my son who graduated from high school in Canada, citizen of Canada? Apply for an F1 visa for him. So find university or college that he wants to go to and apply for a visa for him. Just Sammy wants to know about getting a Canadian tourist visa. We don't handle that. We only handle America, U.S. Green cards and citizenship. Cause this lie says, hi, in Russian, but I'm going to read it in English. Hi, if I'm a citizen, but my mom crossed the border and she's here in pending asylum status, waiting for her asylum court, can I file for her for family unification? Uh, Cause Slade, I have to tell you, it depends on how your mom entered the US. It depends how she crossed you. If she got parole if she got humanitarian parole and they gave her an I-94 card, then that's okay. You can file for her. If not, then it's not going to help her if you file for her. If you only want to do it in the U.S. So then, you'd have to talk to a lawyer. We can do the consultation if you'd like. Call us now. My phone number is on the bottom. Maria says, Marina, thank you. You're the best. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Let's see. Let's see what other news I can discuss with you in terms of U.S. immigration, because I haven't seen you guys in a long time. Please write in the comments where you're watching me from, and I'll give you a shout out. Um, this is also related to immigration, but there's about 30, 36 days now that the government is in shutdown. So what happened was in Congress, every year, Congress has to pass the budget for the year. And that budget is what pays all the federal agencies and all the federal programs and stuff like that. So it has to be an agreement between the Republicans and Democrats that are obviously the two groups in Congress. And they couldn't come to an agreement this year. This was 36 days ago. The government continues to be in shutdown for 36 days, but this is not affecting ICE. It's not affecting the U.S. Postal Services. Some things are still getting done. It's not affecting mostly flying in the U.S., but like we live in work in the New York area, JFK is experiencing a lot of problems because of the shutdown. So I guess some agents are not coming to work because they're not being paid now for over a month. So this is really crazy, but it's definitely a big news. And people who are not from the States, they don't really understand like this type of a situation. They don't understand what shutdown even is. But ICE is continuing to arrest people and deport people no matter what. And Polito says, thank you so much. I thank you for your time. Hi from people. How are you? Here's another question. Watching from Oklahoma is from Joyce. Hi, Joyce. How are you? Thank you from Ahmed. Joy says she's watching from Oklahoma. Opie, Mikey, Lawal, 3948 says, hello, ma'am. Can somebody still go ahead and make the $100 asylum fee payment despite not yet receiving the notice from USCIS or immigration court? I would not pay the $100 fee right now because, like, I think Friday, a federal court judge said that fee is illegal. They didn't really do it the right way. They gave confusing information. So do not pay anything right now. Just stay put. Don't do anything. Joyce Idoka says, my friend applied for VAWA in May, but she doesn't yet have a receipt notice. VAWA sometimes is very delayed with receipt notices. Uh, it's common. I would wait a little more, honestly, but hopefully she has a copy of her entire case. And if you like, you could just print a copy out and resubmit it with a cover letter explaining that it's been more than 5 months for the receipt notice. And it's like you're worried that it was lost and you're going to resubmit again. And here's proof that you guys received it in May, but just in case you lost it, here's a resubmission, a duplicate submission of this VAWA case in case they did lose it. Now, if you get the receipt from the first thing you filed in May, You'll just have to withdraw the second duplicate case, and that's fine. You'll just say, "Hey, you received the first copy. I'm closing this case out." You can just withdraw it by letter too. All right. On that note, I'm going to end my show. Thank you so much for watching. We've been here for 30 minutes, and I appreciate your time. I will see you in 1 or 2 weeks. We'll announce when the next show is. Save your questions. Prepare. I'm happy to talk to you guys. Happy to be here. Thank you so much for watching. Mwah. Love you all. See you next time.